Okay, this is how to follow one of our lesson plans for the Colaborate curriculum. The first thing is you will have one of these gray leader guides. Hopefully each of you can have one. Sometimes I run out. I have lost books along the way, and they're $30 a piece. So if you have to share, I apologize. There are 4 units. Unit 1 is Old Testament. Unit 2 is Lutheran History and Catechism. Unit 3 is New Testament, and Lutheran Living is Unit 4. So you'll always have one of these, and if you want to have one ahead of time to study and get ready, you can certainly take one home. Just let me know if you need one, if you don't have it. So this is the leader guide. Then the students have orange books, which look identical, but these are orange, and they're skinnier, and everything inside is orange. Now, these books are too expensive for us to order 4 per student. So we keep these books in the church, and the kids sometimes share them during class time. And then that way we can reuse them each year. So these will be either in the classroom with your tote, or they will be inside your tote. Because they do use them, they just don't write in them. And I'll make that more clear in just a little bit. So those are the 2 curriculum books that we have. And then the next piece is in your personal folder, you have a lesson plan for each week. So this one is for September 7th. It's grades 6 and 7 together. It's on Martin Luther. It's in the book Lutheran History and Catechism. And then the page number, there's 2. The first page is 10. That's in your leader book. And then the second page number is 1, which is the student's book. And the larger first number will always be the leader book because there's more pages in that one. So first number is leader, second number is student. Now, this is very important, and I want you to make sure you understand. Right here it says information for you beforehand. All of this down to the next red, this is all just for you for background. This is just for you if you want to feel more solid in the topic, if you want to dig in a little deeper, if you want to learn more about Martin Luther. That's what this piece is. This is not for the kids. You don't need to read this to them. It's not kid related at all. So what it is in your leader guide, here I'm on page 10. This is the beginning of Martin Luther. So they have background information, what students need to know, where students might struggle. And you can see there's a lot there, right? So what I did is I condensed everything into this for you. So you don't have to read the leader guide if you don't want to. If you want to breeze through this real quick, this is like a Cliff's Notes version, kind of. If you don't get to this, it's okay. You can still lead the lesson, no problem. I don't want you to think that you have to do prep. If you have time, fantastic. If you just cannot fit it in, I get it. Either way, it's okay. So that's the beginning. That's just information for you about the topic if you want to go a little bit deeper. And if you want to read all of it in the book, you can also do that. That's completely up to you. So the next page then, you'll see, usually I do not do the icebreaker. So almost always we will skip that. So I'm not going to show you the book right now. We're going to do it this way. In the lesson plan then, it says small group learning begins here. So that's your time with the kids. This is where it starts. And it says into the story, do Ephesians 2:8. So in the book, you go down to into the story, and it says do Ephesians 2:8 activity. That's this right here. Okay? And it says skip bullet 1. So that means that we're going to do these 2 bullets, 2 and 3. And then it says do Ephesians 2, 8 through 10. That's the second activity right here. This is my book, by the way, so just ignore all the scribbling. That was just from me writing lesson plans. So you'll do 2, 8 through 10, and you'll do those 2 questions. So that's the first part, into the story. Second part is the questions. Odds are you're not going to have time to do these. We are going to be pressed for time. We always are. So in your lesson plan, I put questions, and it says all 3 are good if time. They will need your help. And then there might be some notes about them. But these will almost always say if time. These are good to go back to if you need something at the end of the night. But generally, I would skip them at the beginning because you need to get to your lesson, which is the next step. So the lesson, sorry, this is kind of hard to read. At this point, you're going to go into the student's books. And this says page 2. So that's in the student book. So I'll show you. We're going to go to page 2. And it looks like this. Yes, it looks very scary. Don't worry, it's not. So it says, go through the infographic starting at birth. So you're going to start over here, and this is like a road. Okay. It says start at birth and skip what's in a name. So you're coming along. It says to skip this. So don't, it means exactly that. Skip it. Then you keep going, and then my notes in your lessons say, read the notes as you go, skip the last 2 Luther says. So we're going down the road, we read all this, we read, and then it says skip the last 2, of Luther says, which is right here, and then there's one right down there. So you skip those. Now it says on the lesson plan, go back to page 1. So we're going to go back to page 1, and it says to go to the Life Center with your books and see the wall hanging of the Luther seal, and then sit down and color, and as they're coloring, talk about what each color means, which is listed there. Then it says at the end, finish with activity at the bottom left of page 1, which is right here. If you had a symbol representing what's important to you, what would it look like? And they can draw their own symbol, or maybe just talk about what their symbol would look like. That was the lesson, okay? So I just went through all of this. Right here at the bottom is where it says to talk about a symbol that would represent them. Then at the end, sometimes right here, there's a section called Want More. That is in your leader guide. Sometimes I say you can do that. Sometimes it's not worth doing. Then this is where teaching time starts. So this red part, ideally, you're done with all that when you go to teaching in a perfect world, because generally that's not going to happen. You're generally going to run out of time. And then a final group question. If you need a discussion prompt, if you need something to get them talking at the end, there's always going to be a question there at the end of the night. Then here's your seal. So you'll have those in your folder for everybody to color. And that's the lesson for that night. Now, the one thing I did not show you is the Bible. So this is the Colaborate Bible, which if you're a 6th grade parent, you probably don't have one yet, but you will get one. And I can give you a Bible also if you want to have your own to look at and use. I've got some that are kind of beat up that are leftovers, so I'm more than happy to hand those out. These Bibles are fantastic. I use this Bible as my Bible at work. It's just a really great Lutheran Bible. So there are some things that are good to know for you guys. In the margins, they have these different symbols. And sometimes there's some orange writing with an I. Those are facts or insights. The question marks are things to ponder or think about. The hands are interactive, so it's like an invitation to do something in everyday life. The little orange church is a worship connection, an idea to notice how scripture connects with Christian worship. And then the Luther seal is a Lutheran quotation, usually from Martin Luther, maybe from another Lutheran theologian. But I'm just going to flip to a couple different pages here. So for example, this page has an I over here in the margin, what they call a margin ribbon, and it just has an explanation of the verse Ezekiel 29:17. So that's an I. Sometimes I might say, read the orange box in the top right. That would be like this. So this is an extra explanation of a passage, and it has an invitation here in orange. I oftentimes have you read those when you're doing Into the Story, because it's a really good connection to those verses. It's really well written for the kids. Often it connects things to their lives. A super cool part about this Bible is these additions. Here is an example of a Lutheran quote. This one is about baptism from Martin Luther, and you'll see the seal there. I will often have you read those too. Honestly, those two things are the biggest reason that I love this Bible. It's so much more than just the Bible verses, and it makes it so much more user-friendly, and it just gives you so much more content. The other thing that has in the back is a subject guide. And this might be something that you would want to use when they're thinking of verses. It goes, and it just has words back here, clear in the back, with verses that go along with that word. So for example, Almighty. There's 4 different verses that include the word Almighty. There's all kinds of words: ask, commandment, comfort, doctrine, God, there's all kinds. And this will kind of get them thinking maybe when they want to find a verse. So there's that subject guide. And then the other important thing it has is it has the small catechism in the Bible. We've always used those little booklet style small catechisms, which were a separate thing that kids had to remember. This Bible has the small catechism in it. So that is huge. It's so good to be able to look up things in the small catechism by Martin Luther while you're in the Bible, so that you can connect them together. So that's in the very back as well. This Bible is fantastic. I just really encourage you to impress upon the kids how useful it is, and how the leather bound is so nice. It withstands wear. Encourage the kids to write in their Bible. Put Post-its. I'm a Post-it person. Bookmarks. There's a ribbon up here that they can use to keep track of where they're at. But yeah, it's a super, super, super book. So that's the Bible connection. The last thing I was going to show you is in your leader guide, it shows you what the students see. So this is a picture of the same page that the kids have. So there's theirs. Here it is here. It's teeny, teeny, tiny. You can't, I guess with my bifocals, I can read this print, but it's very small. So if you want to have a student guide with you when you get ready for the lesson, that's okay. Feel free. Now, in your lesson plan, sometimes it might say, read the quotation block at the top right. That's this right here. In your leader guide, while you're working, you would read this quotation block at the top right. Or it might say, read the star statement. So that would be this right here. There's always a star statement at the beginning of their lesson, but this is only in your book. It's not in theirs. So you will have to read that out loud if I say, you know, read the star statement. Trying to think if there's anything else. These are just really good hints that they include for the leader. And then they just show when they apply while you're working in the kids' book. So again, here's the kids' book. It's all the orange. And that's what this is. But then they give you little tips around here. And I tell you in the lesson plan when to read these and when to just skip them. It's very specific. If you feel otherwise, if you read something and you're like, oh, I think I should share that, you follow your gut. You do whatever you think is right for your group in the moment. Just feel free. This is not Erica's show. This is God's show, and God speaks to you just like he speaks to me. So please feel free to interject. If the conversation changes, you do whatever feels right for your group. And I want you to feel okay with that, and don't be scared, and don't feel like you have to do what I say, because I am not an expert. So follow your gut, follow your heart. The last thing is this is what I was talking about earlier at the very end in your lesson plan. It says want more. Sometimes it might say do bullet 2, and that would mean you're going to do one of these. Generally, you will not have time to do those, but just in case, I put them in there. And then the final page looks like this, and it's just got some activities. We generally don't get to those either. So again, if you choose to do them, fine, no problem, but I don't build them in. So that's the leader guide. This is the kids book. This seems like so much. I feel so bad when I do this because it just sounds absolutely clear as mud. But again, come to me with questions, call me, email me, whatever. I will come to your house. I just want this to be easy for you, and I want you to feel comfortable and confident, and just tell the kids that we are all learning about God all the time. There is no expert. There is no person that knows everything. That never ever happens. So, you know, just encourage them to think of you as their leader, but that you're still learning too, because that's how faith works. We're all learning. So let me know if you need anything. Stop in and get books if you need them. And I think that's it. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you soon.